My name is Pratyaksh Datta. Hello and welcome to Business World.
Hi.
We have with us Mr. Nikhil Bharadwaj from Bajaj Allianz. Um, so I'll ask you the first question. How has the role of PR and corporate communications evolved in the age of digital media and social network?
I think, Pratyaksh, it's all about speed. Digitization is instant.
Right,
Whatever is out there is just going to be out there very, very fast. It's not like you have to wait for the next day's newspaper for news to show up. So, a response speed is something that PR folks are trying to now, get very fast at. You can't wait for your spokesperson to be free and then give your output out there. Something can snowball into something very big. So
right,
digitization has, led to instant responses, fast speed. With social media, crisis could emerge out of nowhere, and you have to, kind of put it out immediately, or you could be in a big fix, so as to speak. Uh, I don't think big crises per se are not manageable, but now with organizational reputation management on social, even solving the smaller crisis is crucial. Because at the end of the day, social media can have a large impact on your reputation. So
right,
PR has to just speeden up, hasten up, and get to the program, I would say.
right. So, Nikhil, what emerging trends do you foresee in the PR industry, particularly in terms of crisis management and reputation repair?
I think it's no longer a matter of understanding a crisis and deciding whether to respond to it or not. That remains the basic, whether you want to respond to a crisis, whether it's a yes, no, or put out a positive news, etc., as traditional PR would do it. It's now more understanding how can you mitigate a problem on the go. So digital crisis communication, and I spoke about organizational reputation management. I mean, of course,
Right.
some organizations have it in-house, some organizations outsource it, but it's a very critical part. Understanding that if a customer is complaining on the internet, uh, and you have to solve it on the go. So I think there's a synergy now, greater synergy between comms, digital marketing, and of course customer service. At the end of the day, ensuring that you take a customer, say from a live tweet to a direct message, and solve the problem from a direct message to a call, and try and convince the customer to put a positive response once you have responded to their query, and solve their problem is also necessary, because at the end of the day you want your NPS scores to be good as well, and you want to convert a detractor to somebody who speaks good about you and in fact promotes your product in the long run. So yeah, I think that's from a org reputation standpoint.
Right. Um, so in today's fast-paced digital landscape, again, how important do you think real-time engagement and storytelling is for effective corporate engagement?
Okay. So I think traditionally PR was known as a long form piece, okay, and
Right.
where you could contribute to articles or you could contribute to stories. You could tell your own story in a very longish sort of way. But now with newspapers are shrinking in size, uh, everything's going digital. It's very important to understand that formats that are acceptable are much different than they were on print. Yes,
Yeah.
editorials still have their space, long article formats still have their space, but you have to make content more palatable. I think listicles is one classic example of how this can work, especially on topics that are not very interesting at the base. So in insurance, for example, people don't take a lot of effort to get to know. So at the end of the day, making it simpler, five things you need to know about buying insurance, for example. So that changes the whole format of now your content, and you have to make it more palatable. Infographics, videos, putting content out there that your consumers are going to consume much easier becomes very important. Engaging, obviously, when you put out a news, a positive like award, or some sort of a achievement or a good product that you've launched. I think you get
Yeah.
instant feedback from audience now on social media. And it can be good, bad, ugly. You just have to be prepared for it. You might be in love with your idea, but at the end of the day, your customers can bring you to ground very, very fast. And understanding that relevant stuff is being spoken on the engagement is important. So you might put something like, "Hey, I've won the best customer service award," but then right there somebody writes that, "Hey, my claim is not yet settled." So there can be a lot of disconnect there for customers who read the tweets. Engaging with them, ensuring that everything is heard and not automated. I think a lot of brands have suffered this, using automation to a large extent, whereby just keywords are read and responses are sent out. I think persons manning it with the right combination of AI is what engagement should be all about.
Right. Um, how would you measure the ROI of PR and corporate communication efforts in an increasingly data-driven marketing world?
Okay. I think, Pratyaksh, it's very important to understand what the objective is. So PR has to have an objective to it. The
Right.
objective could be increasing reach. So, for example, today insurance is only 1% of the country's GDP, and that's
Yeah.
predominantly because it's in larger cities, metros. Uh, Ensuring that you're able to geographically reach out. So, what's your reach? How many cities have you reached? How many cities have you had editorial presence? How many cities have you had presence for your press releases? Is a city where the office is opened, are you present there on traditional digital media, vernacular media is very, very important as well. It could be something as simple as measuring share of voice. So typically industries, our industry looks at share of voice as one of the measurable metric for reach. Obviously, then it's split into sentiment as positive, negative, neutral, and you want to have as much positive and neutral and as less negative as possible, because at the end of the day, it's all about thought leadership in a positive fashion. Uh, Obviously, you look at measurable metrics such as MAV, because you want to have media add value, because PR traditionally is thought of as a editorial slash, if I may dare say, a free sort of hand of the advertising or the marketing division. And if you're able to measure a marketing add value, you get to know how much you are adding value in terms of possible, outgo that you would have had as money saved. So money saved is money earned in a way is what you can look at. Last but not the least, it's very important to understand, uh, you know, how much are you able to put out there in terms of awareness. So which means you have to have some sort of an attribution model. So, for example, you were reached out to, I don't know, 100 people, and your company has grown by X number of people. How many of them can be attributed to the editorial content that you're putting out? So, if you're increasing awareness on health insurance is in an uptick. There has to be an attribution model in place for you to somewhere link your content to the ultimate aim, that is sales. Because what is marketing at the end of the day? The purpose of marketing is to stimulate sales, is to
Right.
drive demand. And
Yeah.
you can be in love with your idea, your share of voice might be large, but at the end of the day, you have to sync organizational priority with that of advertising. Say, for example, if there's a line of business that's profitable and needs to be done more, are you writing more about it? Is that impacting the P&L? I think these measurables is what is more tangible, as long as you have your attribution model, right? So these are just some of the measurement metrics. Obviously, every company has their own based on the industry that they are a part of. But this is broadly what most of them look to drive.
Right. Could you provide some insights into the integration of PR and marketing to create a cohesive and impactful brand narrative?
Correct. I think there are, I would say, two sides of the same coin. At the end of the day, like I said, marketing is about creating, stimulating demand, creating
Yeah.
demand for your products. Erstwhile marketing is obviously paid. It's considered a form of paid media, and probably PR is looked as owned media. You can say in a way, or earned media. You can say in a very broader sort of sense. Uh, Ensuring that amplification of your PR campaigns happen through marketing is very, very crucial. So if you have a large editorial piece in a reputed newspaper, ensuring that it reaches a wider audience on the digital front is very crucial. Even if you have digital links, it's important that you're able to amplify that through your social media reach, and obviously ensuring that and more than that, also employee advocacy is important. So it's not just about your brand reposting it, retweeting it, sharing it, liking it, etc., but getting an employee should take a genuine interest in in the content that they're putting out. And our MD&C has always said this, that employees are the frontline brand ambassadors of the organization. If they're able to pull it out, they're
Right.
the best marketing that you can ever get free of cost. And because social media is just viral in its truest sense. And at the end of the day, I think even PR can add SEO value to a digital marketing team. So, of course, if the right articles go out with the right content, and that content can be backlinked to your website, obviously publications agreeing, then you can get a lot of value, a lot of domain authority for what you're putting out. Because at the end of the day, content is what drives search, and content is what's going to drive AI-related search in the future as well. So the richer the content, the more the backlinking, the more genuine the content, you're going to get. Because marketing campaigns have limited shelf life. You can say content has no shelf life. It remains on search if well archived, if well put, if well structured in a website, it remains forever. So that I think is a sync. One needs to amplify the other. Obviously, good marketing campaigns need to be put out through A&M media as well. So that's the other side of the coin, ensuring that what you're doing right also goes out, and of course, it creates a brand image for the organization. So these are the
Right, right, right. So as sustainability and corporate social responsibility gain prominence, how can PR executives effectively communicate a company's commitment to these values?
correct. So CSR, though very very important for a brand to do, not just from an obligation standpoint that X percent of profit needs to go towards CSR. I think it's more about genuineness, trying to make a genuine difference to society. Uh, what what customers, what stakeholders tend to misread is hey, why are they branding something that doing for good of society? Uh, but many times you need to do it. You need to tell your stakeholders what you are doing, because you are a part of an environment that involves internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, partners. And if
Right,
your brand needs to grow, you need to communicate that very well. Making a difference to society is essential. Making a difference to society in fields that you choose. For example, we as a brand believe in financial literacy as a very important facet, an extension to our business. But more than that, we feel the more people know about financial protection, the more people will opt for it, the more people will stay protected. And of course, there are other causes that we are, definitely a part of. But it's very important to put it out there, not just in terms of hey, we did this, we had this drive, etc., but also mentioning the intention behind it. What is the difference that you're trying to make to society? Coming to ESG, I think ESG, although it's the buzzword right now, ESG is nothing but an extension of your business model. It's what
yeah,
area you decide to focus on is what. Environmentally green, I don't think any of us have a choice, because the planet needs to reverse age a bit for us to get back on track in terms of the temperature that it is at today. Uh, for social, I think every organization is a social entity. What difference your products make to the overall society is very important. For insurance, especially, social is a very important facet, because we create jobs, we employ people, we employ partners, and at the end of the day, if somebody is in distress, the insurance product pays for their distress. So financial protection of society is what we do. So we also do crop insurance, health insurance for states. So we're making a big difference to society. So social becomes very important for us. Governance, I think, is a no-brainer. Uh, Companies that are run well don't have to bother about the G element, but diversity and inclusion is an important part, especially in financial industry. I think it's something that BFSI companies are grappling with, where we want to get our gender ratios right to begin with. Then the other elements of diversity and inclusion will come in. And obviously stuff like boardroom parity and organizations run well. I think if you do your base business right, and you're looking at all three elements, uh, obviously it works out well. I think most organizations now have a business responsibility or sustainability report. They also call it the ESG report. Putting it out there is important, whether you're listed or not. So we, for example, are not directly listed, but we still have a BRSR report or a ESG/sustainability report. Because at the end of the day, when you embark on a journey, you need to understand what's your end point, and you need to communicate that to your stakeholders, and what steps you're taking towards that journey. And obviously, the goalpost keeps moving. Like everybody says, I want to
right,
be neutral, but what are you doing towards it? What are the set of activities that are going to set into motion? Communicating it not just on PR front, social, obviously through internal reports, and again employee advocacy, getting employees involved, them talking about it is crucial. So PR plays an absolutely crucial role, because at the end of the day, you can't wash away your sins. For example, you might not have the greatest business model in terms of societal good, but you might be doing a lot of activities towards the betterment of planet. That does not make it right. I think, like I started, making a genuine difference to society is what sets you apart. And if you're willing to do that, I think good PR is always around the corner.
Yeah. So you talked about diversity. What challenges do you think in managing PR for a global brand? What challenges do you think can come up when dealing with diverse cultural audiences, and how would you address these issues?
Okay. Uh, so I'm sure you know Bajaj Allianz is a combination of Bajaj Finserv and Allianz who got together.
Yeah,
Allianz is one of the world's oldest insurers present in most countries that you can put your finger on the world map. And I think what we've learned from there is that cultural nuances cannot be ignored. Every country has a cultural nuances. Every culture is different. Every culture is unique. Every language, every region, what is right in one country may not be right in another country. I mean, forget why look at the world, look at India. Uh, we are a country within a country, countries within a country, if I have to say that.
right,
Look at the diversity that exists from north to south, west to east. English doesn't work everywhere, neither does Hindi. Cultural language nuances. We keep saying India to Bharat. Yeah, I think Bharat exists within India and India exists within Bharat. And those nuances of language, what's right, what's not. You must have seen a lot of brands miss the bus here where they put advertisements or PR, in a particular language, in a particular publication, without understanding what the cultural nuances of a particular location might be. Same ad is translated as is without understanding what impact it might have on your target audience. So I think these nuances is something you need to understand, sit and put. It's not as simple as you just translate my release and put it out. No, it's understanding what impact that release has on the target audience. Talking to a local is very important as well. Understanding, running it by them, and then, hey, do you think this is fine, or do you think it'll have an impact later on? Because it's always better to take time putting out PR and other communication rather than firefighting later on when you've been trolled badly as a brand. And today with digitization, it can happen. So cultural nuances very very important. Understand what you're a part of, understand the culture, if not the language, but language requires. So have a local translator that helps because don't take one of these global agencies that translate for you. Many times that does not have the best impact. So go local, go hyper local, try and get the localist flavor that you can get there, and understand what the requirement of a specific market is. You might have opened new in a specific market. You might be established for years in a particular market. So the PR varies. One place
right,
you're making an identity, one place you're kind of building on a built up reputation, and one place could be where you've been present for years but you've made no dent. So that again is reiteration of what your brand stands for. So these small nuances by country, by location, obviously is something that as a global organization you need to keep track of.
right. Lastly, with the rise of influencer partnerships, how do PR effectively collaborate in the new realm of public relations? So, with the digital, with the influencers coming in, what is your approach to this?
See, Pratyaksh, influencer is something that I feel is a little overused today. Okay, and a lot of brands are, kind of getting in line to do it. I think an influencer is a fantastic concept because the amount of content that an influencer puts out is just amazing, and we consume it all the time. I mean, what do we do? Forget why we look at your generation, look at Gen Z's. Uh, the only thing to do is consume reels on Instagram or
Right,
there are many other Facebook videos, for example. There's tons of other interfaces. There's billions and billions of content videos out there, and there are these people who have made a living out of it, and by putting out genuine, authentic content. Of course, there's a little bit of dichotomy when it comes to the audience who are obviously blindly following it and now taking to the pinch of salt. So you need to understand who are the genuine influencers and who are the influencers who is just out there to speak about any advertising or any brand or anything that they get paid for. There are obviously niche influencers, okay? Like there'll be a finance influencer or a banking influencer or somebody who has more of a following on the investment side. I'm sure there are a lot of them without taking names. There are influencers on the travel side and so on, each field, sports side, you name it. I mean, there is now an influencer every field. There are language specific influencers, Marathi influencers, Bengali influencers, Hindi influencers. So you need to
right,
understand what the object of your communication is. The objective of your communication is supposed to talk about a new product or get it reviewed. For example, if you're an automobile brand and you want your product to be reviewed by an influencer, you're going to get a whole set of eyeballs which you wouldn't typically get out of just advertising, because an advertisement has a limited time scope. Okay, you might not get a full review in. You might again have to pay a hefty fee to one of the news channels to have get featured in their auto show, unless they're of
Yeah.
course covering you editorially and stuff like that. So influencers kind of cut that clutter, keep focus. So I think it does do a lot in terms of getting your brand out there, but understand the objective. Don't just blindly follow the bandwagon of influencers. There is a lot of value there to be had. Go genuine, understand the objective, and do what suits you, because not they're not meant for everybody. Like for example, I strongly believe that something as genuine as or as important as insurance requires the words of somebody who has experience in it, somebody who you can trust. Because insurance, for example, is a matter of conversations. So who will
Yeah.
you trust? You trust somebody who's an agent or advisor who has been doing this for years, ages, or an insurance employee for that matter, insurer, who knows what you're talking about. And I think so. It's a balance of what you do. You can buy a cell phone based on somebody's recommendation, but would you buy a financial product purely based on recommendation? No, you would still do your research. So
Right.
look at our objective, but yeah, definitely a channel with immense potential.
Right. Right. Great. So with that, we're done with the interview. Thank you so much, Nikhil, for your insights, for your time.
My
Uh,
pleasure.